Now, ladies and gentlemen, the programming continues, and I have to say the organizers have really surpassed themselves again. This is day 3 of Expand North Star, our landmark startup event. And for those of you who joined us over the last 2 days, I think you'll agree that the programmers this year, working in association with GITEX Global, the largest tech show, have really made the most of this new venue we have here at the Dubai Harbour to not only put on the exhibition and the stands that we have out there, but also ensure that you are entertained with insightful discussions, career journeys, that they're really being shared in a very candid fashion by the entrepreneurs, the fund managers, the CTOs, CEOs. You know, we were just really, really privileged to have people right at the top of all of the industries come and grace our stage. In particular, I enjoyed that intersection of luxury brands and technology in the penultimate session. And this particular conversation that Dan and David did was just, again, very thought-provoking. I know David's going to join us again for many of the sessions later this afternoon. But now, without further ado, we have a panel discussion. As you see, the stage is being set behind me diligently by the team, which have been fantastic throughout. This particular panel discussion is looking at new frontiers of experiential luxury leveraging open innovation with fashion tech startups. As I said, we had that intersection with luxury brands and technology just a little while ago, so building on that. Now, what I'm going to do is introduce our moderator and ask them to introduce all of our guests one by one, just so that we get a really good feel of everybody's bios and career history as well. I think that might be the best for this particular opportunity. Maybe if I can ask the moderator to come and join me on stage, and then we can together introduce the particular panelists. So Stefano Galassi, who is CEO and Open Innovation Advisor for Metaverse luxury brands Limitless, luxury innovation all the way from Italy. Please do join me on stage, Stefano. Just make sure we've got your mic on. Fantastic.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Thank you for
fantastic. Thank you so much, Stefano. I'm going to hand over to you for you to introduce your guests.
I will.
And it's really good to have you here. And as we've been saying, there's lots of international representation and expertise over lots of different fields.
All right. Let me introduce first myself. I'm Stefano, CEO of Limitless. And today we're going to rock the stage with some luxury innovation coming from Milan, Italy, and Dubai, connecting 2 different worlds.
Fantastic.
So let me start with the first one, Laudomia on the stage. She's actually one of the most important fast-forward thinkers of the humanism and the fashion.
Welcome.
From Florence to the world. Laudomia, please have a seat. Laudomia Pucci, please.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome here on the stage. Then, yes, let's big applause. She's very important. Please, let's do it. Let's be nice with our guest here.
Good morning.
Then, immediately after, we have a friend from Rome leading the innovation from Bulgari. Please welcome Massimo on stage. Woo. Last but not least, Alex, he was leading in a Chalhoub, the leading luxury holding here in Dubai that has a great vision in innovation. Please, Alex, join us. I will sit after you guys. What a great panel here. I mean, seems that we have interesting mind to discuss. So let me start saying that these 4 people, these 3 people of you, actually have something in common. The 3 person, but also the 3 company you are presenting, actually have been definitely be fundamental part of the luxury space in different ways, as a fashion, textile, and creativity, as a jewelry, as a retail holding. But another aspect that definitely bring a fil rouge of the discussion will be innovation, and how actually innovation means also investing in technology, connecting with startups, and somehow be open to create a link between the corporate and the new innovation disruptors. So let me start by Laudomia and say We have been discussing also yesterday about your recent project, what you've been doing, and your creativity of 40 years in corporate. How you see currently, also been visiting this great event here in GITEX, the role of the new technology, including VR, blockchain, all of that, in your current vision, working with the Heritage Archive?
Thank you, Stefano. Well, I have a little bit a different story because, as Stefano was mentioning, after about 37 years of corporate life, I kind of retired and I started a new project that is a heritage project. What do I mean by that? I'm wearing a heritage Pucci blouse today that's about 50 years old. And the archives belong to my family. And in the same time, we have a beautiful space that's a family palazzo in Florence. And we are telling and storytelling and sharing the beauty of the history of the space, the place, the fashion, the design, with what I believe is the last frontier of luxury today, that is experiential luxury. So it's very, very physical. You come there, you learn about it, you can have a lunch, you can have a dinner, you can touch, you can learn about the pieces, and you have a very custom-made experience. So my question now is, why are we here talking about tech? Because in my view, as Stefano knows very well, everything that is history and past has relevance if it resonates with today and possibly tomorrow. We have a school working with us because we like the youngsters to bring ahead the vision of my father, the creator Emilio Pucci. And we continuously work with young talent and schools to innovate on technology. What does that mean? We've done machine learning by putting thousands of prints into a machine and trying to see if the machine could do a new Pucci print. It wasn't very successful and we were very happy. Then we did an Oculus experience by which in the middle of this 15th century palazzo, you are driven in a palazzo of colors and prints that's totally virtual. It's got nothing to do with what you're seeing. However, it's part of the same story. We have a virtual tour of a palazzo because when COVID hit, we didn't want people not to be able to participate to our story. And I'm continuously looking for new ideas to bring technology to, let's say, make this experience stronger, more interesting, and more special. Because I think, as I said, the past is more relevant when it speaks to the future. That would be my guess.
Amazing. I mean, I haven't yet, but my next trip to Florence, I will be the first to ring your bell and to explore the beautiful building experience in the center of Florence that actually you can also live digitally. So another time, how technology can amplify the beauty of the history. I will, definitely. So Massimo, you have a long career in doing innovation, IT, supply chain, strategy in Bulgari, but Bulgari is also not only a great jewelry company and luxury lifestyle, but also is part of a larger corporation, the number one luxury group in the world, LVMH. And then we all know that LVMH has been leading as a group in investing in experience, in technology, but also in innovation. Could you please tell us what's your role between the company and what's the role of the company between the group in this larger vision of LVMH innovation strategy?
Can you hear me? Yes. So we are, as you said, we are lucky to be part of a group that has a visionary approach to innovation. The group is it's not really forcing anyone to do anything or.
We have double. Someone speaking with us. We have to attract also other speakers. We from one on the left, but we can move on. We can move on.
Okay. So LVMH is not really forcing anyone, but it's a great ecosystem, and I think that maybe here there are some entrepreneurs who are running startups, the beauty of the group is that we run different programs. One is the Le Maison de Startup. So it's really an incubator. It's a place where startups are meeting with the brands. Then we have innovation awards, and probably you are familiar with some of the companies like Toshi or Bambuser. They were coming from this type of award. And we also have another program that is called DARE, and I will explain later. So I think the main concept is that having a possibility to have startups speaking with the brands, it's a mutual benefit. We understand the technology, we discover your intuition, and we see how the technology can be applied. At the same time, you guys have the possibility to understand our point of view. You have the possibility to understand the complexity of the ecosystem, and you can change actually your perspective. Now, the combination of these two moments is where a project comes to life, is the moment where a technology becomes part of a customer journey, for example. And this is in continuous enrichment. So the ecosystem gives the possibility to the startup to scale up the technology, because maybe it's working first for a pioneer, a forward thinker, but then if it is adopted by a giant like Louis Vuitton, for example, it automatically creates the scalability of the solution. And this is the story of some of these brands. At the same time, there is also what I call a bottom-up approach, in a sense that innovation is coming from everyone. You don't know where an innovator is. You don't have a badge with written, I am an innovator. So in Bulgari, we are part of this ecosystem, and we act as a hub and spoke type of organization. So we have two elements here. The first is the DARE project. So let me say there is a call for action. The group identifies a certain number of challenges, and each brand is going to create transversal teams who are working in order to find a solution. Now, sometimes the solution is only coming from the brand, sometimes it's coming from some contamination between the brand and the startup. And even from there, then you have the possibility to bring a startup to the attention of the ecosystem. So it's really a sort of a vicious and virtuous cycle, that is creating this contamination and gives the ability, the possibility for you actually to create a market. Internally, we also create an innovation community, because you don't know, but maybe the accountant that you never thought was an innovator, you discovered that he has this into his mind.
DNA.
Yeah. So this is actually the advantage of being part of a great group and a great ecosystem.
I mean, let me say from an independent point of view, what LMH has been doing the last 10 years with Vivatech, La Maison de Startups, and then everything that building that ecosystem from Paris to the world. Paris definitely is the leading fashion tech capital ahead, in which they have been investing truly also in France, I will say, in building this ecosystem, connecting the bridge, doing a bridge between these two worlds that apparently are very far, but thanks to LMH started mostly, more than 12 years ago, really they have created the path for all the others. But let me jump from a worldwide holding, leading in producing luxury to a wording and a leading holding on retail in Middle East, that no less is actually the number one top performance in terms of number of brands, number of stores, number of new initiatives. I had the chance to have been in touch with Chalhoub since many years. In Dubai, no one have to introduce you, but what the family of Chalhoub and the generation have been created is huge. It's actually starting from few decades ago, and they're building truly an empire in which the young generation like you, Alex, and the new innovation architecture, this include also the lab, greenhouse, the investment, the new acceleration. So it's a fully innovation architecture. And you're presenting one of these 3-4 most important pillars, the investment fund. Because sometimes it's nice to work with companies and with startups, but they also need to raise money to grow. And I think Chalhoub is doing this professionally in the region as the number one. Can you please tell us more about what's your role, very quickly about the innovation architecture of Chalhoub, and what's your role inside this innovation architecture, and how actually you can truly support a young stage, but I would say more growth stage company to be integrated in your portfolio?
Okay, it's a great question. I think just to take a step back and really understand what the group is good at, I always like going back to first principles. And, from my perspective, the group really have two main first principles. One is product excellence as a luxury retailer. The second is customer excellence. We know our core customer in the GCC incredibly well, and how do we keep servicing them to the best of our ability so they keep coming back for more. So anything we're doing from an innovation perspective or an investment perspective, we always like to make sure we're sticking to our core principles, because we know what we're good at. If we're deviating too far from them, we need to ask why we're doing that. We need a good reason. And so, on the product side, how do we create the best luxury retail experience in our core markets? That, of course, is going to be the physical traditional retail, but also includes the back end, the logistics, the 360-degree picture, as well as the new frontier, experiential luxury, integrating more technology, and emerging solutions. And on the second side, again, how do we position ourselves to best serve the customer so we satiate them to the right degree so they keep coming back for more? So with that kind of theme across innovation that we like to have, I look at things from two main parts for innovation and working with startups. It's really culture and capital. So on one hand, you have the culture. You have kind of the culture running through the organization, which is a result of the leadership of Patrick Chalhoub, of Michael Chalhoub, to really be focused on inspiring, exhilarating the customer at the end point. And you need the capital to back that up. And if you look at LVMH Group, the culture and capital, as you described, is there. So what we try and do, and similar to your explanation, is really try and create this flywheel throughout the organization, right? By having the team of the greenhouse, we're able to kind of get in the trenches entrepreneurs, in the trenches innovation, feeding into the organization, and that's not cheap, right? That takes investment, that takes strategic direction, and you need to hire the right talent.
Take a resource and to really commit. I mean, we're talking about nice money. Can you tell some numbers that are some public figures that you can share about the numbers of startups or the average spending, anything that could be shareable today on the stage?
Yeah, I mean, in the investment portfolio today, we're just touching about 10 companies in the portfolio across sort of 10 companies across venture, growth, and M&A. And then on the greenhouse, we're typically running accelerator cohorts or incubation cohorts where we're trying to incubate anywhere from like 4 to 7 brands, 4 to 7 startups, depending on kind of the applications we get and the strategic focus we have. So, as I was saying, I think on the capital side, that investment in the right team, the right talent, the right strategic direction of the group, I think the marrying of those two things, culture and capital, is really what helps us drive that innovation. And the ultimate flywheel we like to achieve is you bring in innovators, you bring in entrepreneurs at the greenhouse stage, right? They begin to permeate throughout the group and disseminate their technology and their innovation through either our distribution platform, through Level Shoes, through Christophe, through Triano, Tanagra, etc. And then, once they get to that stage where the asset can actually support capital, from a larger scale, then, ideally the venture and the investment team can come in and provide that extra firepower to help that platform accelerate not only within the group, but also, outside the group to drive, further equity value. So that's sort of the rough framework that we like to have. And I think it all really stems down from just having the right culture of innovation throughout the firm, but also the capital and the investment to really drive the growth.
Yeah. Capital need to be invested where your strategy is committed to perform. Capital is needed also to make the grow of those company to really give the chance to perform with the brands, because unfortunately from other side, as our independent point of observation, often the connection works, but then it's the lack of resource or commitment, also financially speaking. So there is also need to be a sign of, let's say, way to really drive the innovation from the corporate to startup and supporting this kind of thing. So Chalhoub definitely is leading the way in the Middle East, but I would say it's a great case also internationally. Let me try to do another kind of round of very short question, much more sharp and short. Let me start about this question is, what is your most successful project in which you have been delivered, performed in your own space, but leveraging technology innovation in any kind of shape, and you say, I take the challenge, we did it, and actually it really works. Laudomia.
Actually, I'll answer to your question that is very interesting, but with the opposite answer. I'll say which is been probably the most less successful
that we love also. I mean, this is part of the learning.
This was in the hype of the NFTs last year. I had happened to join a startup company that's called DressX, that's based in California, that is a Metaverse closet company startup. And I had thought that as the operation I'm doing needs capital, to your point, and the purpose for which we need capital is to maintain and restore the archives, and the textiles are extremely time-consuming and expensive to maintain and keep and restore, etc. I found some little straw hats from the early 50s that my father had done, and the straw, as you can imagine, was starting to disappear, and the hats were just falling to bits. And I thought that it would be beautiful to design in 3D the hats and sell them as NFTs, and then you could have bought one, I could have restored the hat, paid the beautiful hands in Florence to restore the hat, and you could have had a special perk when you come and visit me, or I could have a special exhibit or a special moment with you, and the hat could have had your name, etc. So I had all this study done, and I was really excited about it. I had it all laid out. And then I said, am I sure I want to do it? Am I really sure I want to do it? I only have those hats. And if the NFTs don't work, what will I do? And I didn't. So I haven't given up on the project per se, but I haven't been able to accomplish it as I wished because of this hype and technology that we see. And so my next question is, I'll have to find a way, and I'll probably find it, but it was a very, very interesting curve.
In the mid-long term, I mean, this is a great example. Sometimes the better innovation is the one that you avoid, because you need to be aligned on your core values and the long-term purpose.
Exactly.
So we don't need to file somehow on the sexy, on the hype last things, but mostly in something that could be durable and valuable for our core values of the company. Massimo, fail or success, up to you, both. We are all here to learn from you.
I think the most important thing in innovation, especially when it is referred to brands and luxury, is to understand the value that innovation is bringing to the company. How do you measure if that innovation is really successful? In luxury, unless the innovation is creating a new business model, very often the innovation is anyway enhancing the customer experience, is enhancing the storytelling of the brand. And the question is always, what is the value? Normally, you will always find a CFO that is asking, okay, now I'm spending all this money, what is the return? So a real success was an innovation that we actually brought against the desire or the indication of the business. We were a little bit of a pirate, but that's what you have to do when you innovate. And we created this immersive experience, we call it Sensorial, where we use artificial intelligence to actually capture your feelings, your sensations, where you are exposed to media or to the fragrance of one of our perfume. And even here we used an haptic technology that we found in La Maison de Startup. And the success was that it happened actually in Dubai Mall. And today, my colleague in the perfume business is keep on telling the story how important that innovation was. Thanks to that innovation, Vogue Business gave him a lot of visibility. So there was a very clear and measurable value that was generated. And when you do something like this, the adoption, it's easy. That's our main success.
This is a great success. You measure now value clearly, but still in an intangible way. I mean, because it means visibility, engagement, but those aspects sometimes are difficult to evaluate at the beginning of an innovation project. You know better than me. So sometimes we need also to be brave in the embrace and take the challenge and the risk, because when you started, you couldn't really analyze what could be your investment and return on investment. So sometimes innovation is not a scientific formula, but it's more an alchemy that need to be found along the way. These are the things that we should address, especially with startups. And Alex, I mean, your best investment is going skyrocketing. Tell us what you've been doing, or I mean, the one that you would like to put on the guardrails.
Let's keep things positive today.
All right.
I think a good example, a great case study is a portfolio company of ours called Tabby. Tabby is a large buy now, pay later company that we invested initially in one of the early rounds of Series B, and it's a great.
Can I ask you how much you invest? It's public.
It's not public,
All
unfortunately.
right. You know, I'm always looking for some data more.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, you know, when we first look at the investment, you know, the idea was identifying obviously the trend of buy now, pay later, which is, you know, really a subset of consumer credit. Now, the difference in the GCC versus Western economies is consumer credit penetration is very low. You know, I grew up in the US, everyone has 4 or 5 credit cards. They're already levered up as much as you really should be. Where in the GCC, that's not necessarily the same statistics, right? You have very low credit card penetration, very low consumer credit. So we saw this rising trend in kind of credit use in the GCC, right? We're looking at kind of our first principles in terms of understanding how we can drive product excellence as a retailer. We were seeing these startups and innovators emerge in the region. And given the GMV that ultimately flows through the structure of the group, you know, we're always looking for solutions around payments, around innovating payments for our user base. So we invested in Tabby. There was a good strategic alignment. We rolled it out across our both, you know, digital platforms as well as I think over 200 plus point of sales, physical point of sales.
Wow.
So you can use Tabby checking out online. You can use Tabby when you're physically in level shoes with a quick QR code. And you know, for us, measuring that success, maybe because because it's fintech is a little bit more clear. You know, we're now doing, you know, close to 9 figures of GMV through the platform. And, you know, from an equity perspective, you know, the company has raised subsequent equity rounds at much higher valuations than we invested. So it's a good story of kind of having a thesis on the venture side and the innovation side, but also allowing that startup and allowing ourselves to leverage that technology and that platform to drive kind of extraordinary shareholder value.
You know why I think it's brilliant? Because, I mean, you know, valuation startups are floating and then it kind of goes to the sky and then go down. I mean, but what is really worth when a company can invest, but also especially provide the adoption of the technology? Because if you really make them test the solution, and large scale the services to real customer in the end, then the valuation of the company raise simply because they are doing their own business and they are learning from you, and then they can then adopt the same technology with the other retailer. And this is actually a very positive cycle, and this should be the way it should be. So from our point of view, we try always to identify the magic moment before the domino effect. The magic moment when you identify a startups which is ready to deliver, have a great team, great talent, great vision, but is almost there, but not yet. If you can help them to create this domino effect, this then, when magic happens, and you can invest, and you raise your investment and your return. So this is a great way to actually doing business.
Yeah, and just one thing to mention as well, I think the importance of the actual founders of the company, right? I think it's good to have an overall thesis, but ultimately the risk and the bet you're making is really on the founders to execute that vision. You can help them and have this kind of apparatus to support them, but ultimately it's that personality, it's that founder, that entrepreneur, that's really the key asset that we're all investing in.
Last one comment for all our important guests today. I mean, we envision more and more, and we know that Dubai is the technology innovation capital for multiple other aspects. But what could be the ambition, and this panel could be part of this first sparkle, it make Dubai a fashion and luxury innovation hub globally. What do you think could be possible nowadays? Laudomia, after seeing what's happening here, do you think Dubai can play also this role in combining innovation and technology and luxury retailer? And then same question for all of you.
Well, I think it shouldn't be me suggesting it, but I think we heard the speech, the opening speech yesterday of the Minister of Economy, His Excellency, and it appears that they are really focusing and studying and planning this. I mean, personally, I'm very excited to be here and to benefit of all this. And I think it's also very strategic, you know, being in Dubai, as we all know very well, we benefit as Europe, as Southeast Asia, as Africa. So yeah, it's bringing great minds together, and I think that's fabulous. So I'm looking forward to more.
All right, so it's a very positive. Massimo, what's your take out of this?
Actually, I really think that Dubai and GITEX is an example, is an incredible fusion of different type of nationalities and skills and approach to innovation. I think it's also that Dubai is an early adopter, will always be an early adopter, is an ecosystem that is relatively small but extremely fast. So I think it can be a fantastic lab. The part that has to be mitigated and we have to find the right collaboration is that it has to, when you talk about luxury, you talk about a consistent, homogeneous, global approach. So you have to be sure that somehow the local and the global, they find the right synergy.
This is a very good point. You're already doing this, so...
Look, I mean, I would say the Dubai is very uniquely positioned, and maybe the GCC in general. I think one, you have growth, right, which is a little bit of diversification away from some Western markets, and then I think you have such a heavy focus on physical retail and also such a big market for luxury here, and I think that by definition can create more opportunities per capita to trial innovation, to see if you can, drive a different type of experiential luxury, value proposition in the market. I think the most important thing we really need to do to make sure all that happens is we need to have talent. We need to have talent here, boots on the ground, to help implement that innovation, to help drive that growth, because it's ultimately those individuals in the trenches who are really driving the innovation.
Great. So let me finish this great talk saying, here in Limitless, we say thank you to GITEX, to Dubai, to give us the opportunity to be here with such great mind and luxury. And I think this could be really the beginning of the evolution on making also Dubai on the map as a luxury innovation hub in the world and play a role. And we in Limitless, we really believe we can make it. So thank you so much. Thank you, GITEX. And enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.